So how do you put it all together? Well, this is what's most fascinating about VQ numbers and what I call step astrology. I believe that each of the 12 signs are actually one step in 11 steps to serious joy. And I believe serious joy is enlightenment. I think we've called enlightenment many things in many lives and many religions. My spin is serious joy. I think it's also the formula. We got to get serious about our joy. And so 0 through 11 are actually 12 steps. 0 is the secret step. So how do you add it all together? Well, that's what's so fascinating about this particular soul science is Creator thought of everything. It's all built in so simply and so profoundly at the same time. You just can't make this stuff up. As I uncovered and unfolded in my own research with my clients over the last 20 years, I could not believe how again and again this particular formula adds up. So what are we talking about? Well, first of all, you have a number, the VQ, and then a number, right? Well, it's important to know that the numbers add up, and when we talk about compatibility in another video, we'll talk about how they add up, but 0 through 11 of your Venus adds up to other people's Venuses. So let me give you just one simple example. For instance, if you are a 2 VQ and you make love to an 8 VQ, together you're a 10 VQ. And it's really that literal. Literally. So you can add them up and go, my goodness, when we're together we become a 10. But you also have to understand the natures of each other's VQs before you go in to become that 10. And see, a 2 VQ and an 8 VQ often get together because they want to be and feel like a 10, and so they often find themselves together to become a 10. And we'll talk about all that. So that's an example of how the Venus number can add up to another person's Venus number and literally compatibility, how things add up. Another way how things add up with this system of understanding the soul is when it deals with your quotient number, the 2 numbers or the 1 number on the other side. Now, if you're a person with just 1 number, there's nothing to add. It's about mastering that number, and you are still learning to master that number, and so there's nothing to add in that regard. No addition for you, don't worry. But then, if you have 2 numbers, that means if it's 10, 11, and all the way up to 29, your quotient, then you have to honor the compound of the situation, that you have 1 number, a 2nd number, and then those 2 numbers add to a 3rd number. So it kind of is almost the way consciousness is architected. I call it the architecture of incarnation, because you pay attention to 1 number, you pay attention to the 2nd number, then that consciousness blends to a 3rd number. And so the 3rd number is literally where consciousness starts to compound on consciousness, right? And this is where you have an assembly or a blend or a harmonic of spiritual magic and manifestation. And so what I'm saying here is things add up both when you add people together up and down, and when you add yourself together left to right. That is kind of the magic of this whole formula system. So what you want to do as you're watching these videos, if you want to dive into them, you want to keep it simple and you want to let yourself add it up. In other words, we're going to help post for certain videos, but if you have a VQ of mine is VQ 1026, well, for VQ 1026, which is my VQ, I myself am going to watch the VQ 10, the 10 VQ video, but then I'd also want to watch the 1 VQ and the 0 VQ and the 2 VQ and the 6 VQ to understand them all. And then I want to add them up, and then I want to add and see how they add up. Now, of course, it takes someone to be a little finesse to interpret on your own that way, but you start to see how it goes. Be sure to post your questions and post your experiences, and we'll work on our VQs together. Thanks for clicking.